All right, suckers. So the next Bitcoin halving is in 2028. Based on history, the odds of this bull market being over is about 16%. So this is the meme for this video. Is Bitcoin bull market still in the room with us right now? So that is the question. Is it over or is it just the beginning? In my last video, I talked about a bottom formation right here because we were at the second standard deviation, which is the purple line. At that time, the fear and greed also dropped to extreme fear, so I was correct for a short period of time. Sadly, we are now breaking lower after a dead cat bounce. My short-term target to the upside was about 65-66K. That was the means of the probability of last week. We almost got there, but then the probabilities have continued to deteriorate. So they are now more skewed to the downside. The fact that Bitcoin was not able to reverse back to the means is a sign of relative weakness. Bitcoin has also not been able to reclaim some key moving averages like the pi cycle average right here, which usually it always bounces when it touch. But as you guys can see, once we broke it here, we basically have not been able to reclaim it to the upside to then use it again as support. Sorry for all these horrible squiggly lines. I'm just trying to explain to you guys, the best way I can possibly do it is with these lines. So I apologize for that. On the bright side, we are now at the second standard deviation again, with the volatility index flashing a buy signal in the same time. Based on probabilities, there is now again a 95% probability that we have a reversal back up to the means, which is the green line right here, and only a 5% probability that we actually go lower to this red line right here, which would be the third standard deviation of the price action. When trading the market, it's important to be like water. This week, price action and retail sentiment coming back too quick made me change my positioning. Full transparency, at the beginning of this week, I reduced my Bitcoin ETF holding by about 50%. Am I still expecting Bitcoin to go higher? Yes. If we look historically speaking at projection, Bitcoin should technically go to $140,000 per Bitcoin at the end of this cycle, which would be about from the current levels we are at right now, which is about 58K. This would be a return of about 140% on your money. But does that mean that we cannot go lower before having that strong parabolic rally, which is that stage 4 right here that we always have during the crypto bull cycle? Well, the answer is we could still have that last dip, right, before we actually go higher. That's the reason why I reduced my positioning and I took profit. So also don't forget that I was buying in 2023, so I'm up a good amount of money on my position, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to take some profits and then find a better entry if we do get one in the future. And if we don't and we start ripping right now, well, guess what? I still have enough size where I will be very happy at the end of this cycle. But right now, for me, seeing this weakness and the fact that we're not able to keep up with these key levels like the 60K, which is very important, it's a psychological level, and there's also a lot of ETF buying that happen at those levels. So when we're below those levels, a lot of people that were buying the ETFs are now underwater on their position, which then creates more fear and selling pressure if we continue going lower. And that's why, just for risk purposes, I decided to take profit and reduce my position until there's a better opportunity for me to get back in. So what are the levels you should pay attention? The next level of support will be in this range right here, which is the green box, which would be about 45,000 per Bitcoin. So that would be about a 20% drop from the current levels we're at right now. If we do go there, it will be a buying opportunity you don't want to miss. And this is why I make this video. At the end of the day, if you want to make good money in the markets, you need to see moves in the future. You need to understand and you need to see the moves before they happen. You need to understand the probabilities and you need to know in advance what are you going to be doing, right? What are the specific signals that are going to trigger you to buy or to sell. So hopefully this is helpful. Now let me show you guys why this is going to end up being a great buying opportunity. If you guys remember, in the last video I talked about the selling pressure coming from miners, which basically were in stress mode and were forced to sell Bitcoin to cover their expenses for mining Bitcoin. And right now they are at the extreme capitulation phase on the sell side. This will not last forever. At one point, the selling will slow down and risk appetite will come back in the markets. Obviously, we have a good old grayscale. Obviously, for that one, I'm not expecting the bleeding to stop. I'm actually expecting the bleeding to probably continue until that company is no longer existent. Most likely what will happen. Then we have a lot of whales that I talked about in my last video that they were dumping a lot of Bitcoins, but there was a lot of buying as well on the other side of the coin, and I already talked about it in my prior video, so you can go check that out. I just wanted to show you guys that there's a lot of selling pressure right now on Bitcoin. So at one point, there's a limit of how low you can go and how much pressure there can be to the downside before we have a very nice bounce to the upside. At the moment, once this is done, the pain trade will then flip back to the upside, in my humble opinion. So right now I am personally well positioned where if we do go lower, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we do. And if we do, I'm cool with it. And then I will be buying back into maybe not Bitcoin, to be honest with you, but there was going to be some really good opportunity like Coinbase to get back in those positions, add to my Robinhood position, right? Buying some micro strategy, things like that, right? You don't necessarily need to stick with Bitcoin. Obviously, I love Bitcoin, but there's other way of making money in the markets. And in the meantime, we still have new whales that are continuing to stack Bitcoin, which is a great thing. I don't have the chart with me, so I apologize. I forgot to take a screenshot. And we also have BlackRock that just basically added Bitcoin to 3 of their strategic funds. At this point, patience will pay and a reversal for the weekly momentum will happen. At one point, this will flip back to the upside and we will have a beautiful cross, and that's when, in my humble opinion, we're going to have a very nice leg up. And this is why if we are able, guys, to drop to this level right here, then I'm seeing a very nice bounce to the upside for Bitcoin. If that happens, obviously that would most likely be the worst case scenario at the moment, but it's just a matter of time before the momentum on the weekly start shifting. And if we look at historically speaking, we can see that it's actually been very important to look at the weekly momentum for Bitcoin. It's been pretty accurate and yeah, not pissing against the wind. So right now, that's why I'm a little bit cautious. I really want to see the bleeding stop and I want to see that momentum shift to the upside. Until then, I will be patiently waiting for better buying opportunities or the momentum shifting back to the upside and risk appetite going back up. So yeah, that's my plan. So hopefully it helps you guys a little bit understand where we are. Honestly, I still expect to have that crazy run that we usually have in the price cycle. If we don't in this cycle, honestly, it would suck. I would most likely lose a lot of my gains because I still have a good position in. And yeah, so that's the art of trading, I guess, and you just got to be okay with it. And right now, a lot of people are kind of giving up, and it's understandable. But like I said at the beginning of this video, we are now, 2 months prior the halving. The next halving is going to be in 2028, guys, in 4 years from now. So I personally would be very surprised if this is already the end for Bitcoin. Personally, I think that even if Bitcoin doesn't go as high as I thought, it's still going to be a very volatile instrument you want to be trading for good returns in your portfolio for the next year and a half, up or down. So hopefully we get those big swing again to the upside. All right, I'm out of here. Take care, stay blessed.